Welcome to the Metropolitan Family Services 40th Annual Empower the Night celebration.
Hello, I'm Rick Estrada, President and CEO of Metropolitan Family Services. Welcome to the 40th Annual Empower the Night program. I am extremely pleased to introduce the chair of this year's event host committee, who is also the board chair of Metropolitan Family Services and is joining me as the co-presenter of the event. Ashley Duchossois-Joyce, President of the Duchossois Family Foundation.
Good evening, Rick, and good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Metropolitan Family Services has been empowering families for 164 years. And we empower more than 136,000 families and individuals throughout metropolitan Chicago, Cook, and DuPage counties each year with social and legal services that equip them to learn, earn, heal, and thrive. This year, as our Metropolitan Gala celebrates its 40th anniversary, our theme is Past, Present, and Future, highlighting our impact on the lives of families and individuals in the past, showing a small slice of what we are doing today, and how what we do today impacts and empowers individuals, families, and communities well into the future. We've covered a lot of ground since we first started in 1857 as the Chicago Relief and Aid Society, providing a wealth of services for families and children. Today, we provide more than 100 different programs spanning education, economic stability, emotional wellness and empowerment, and legal aid. When it comes to education, children are our top priority for us. We started our early learning services almost 30 years ago with Midway Head Start on Chicago's southwest side. Today, we reach families on Chicago's south and southwest sides, respectively, through our Midway Children's Center and Learning and Wellness Center.
We also reach families on the city's northwest side through our North Children's Center, and we serve children and their families throughout DuPage County through our Addison Children's Center and a wide network of early learning sites throughout DuPage. To meet parents where they are, we provide center and home-based early learning services. All include a wraparound approach to meet the comprehensive needs of children and their families, including mental health supports, commonly referred to as SEL, social emotional learning. And we're excited to reach even more children and their families as the Howard and Evanston Community Center joined the Metropolitan Family on October 1st of this year. The Howard and Evanston Community Center also has a children's center, which provides early learning services to residents of Chicago's greater Rogers Park area.
Preparing our youngest so they can effectively embrace the future is top of mind with Metropolitan. And it's also extremely important to PNC Bank and Scott Swanson, president of PNC Illinois, who are being honored tonight as Metropolitan's Legacy Award recipients for 2021.
The Legacy Award goes to a corporate leader that partners in a significant way to impact our families, our city, and our region. PNC Bank deserves this award for many reasons, but especially for its amazing team, starting with the leadership of Scott Swanson, president of PNC Illinois, along with PNC senior executive Craig Esco, who serves on our governing board and Head Start board. And of course, the many amazing members who engage with Metropolitan and our partners to make Chicago a better place. Our history with Scott goes back to our 150th anniversary celebration of Metropolitan Family Services, where in 2007, Scott participated on our educational panel. Last year, he served as chair of the Empower the Night host committee, helping us raise more support than ever before. He has always been a strong advocate for early childhood education. He also has been a strong ambassador for our Gertz Family Young Fathers program, and he has engaged this team with Metropolitan on many programs. When PNC, Scott and his team support a program, They collaborate to help make it better, whether it is at our Learning and Wellness Children's Early Childhood Program by bringing in 30 million words to support youth development by the age of 4 years old, at our Midway Center by engaging the official bank of the Chicago Bears to provide school supplies for our youth, or even in our neighborhoods through our Communities Partnering for Peace Light in the Night event, where they brought Cookie Monster from Sesame Street to sing with the youth at an unforgettable community gathering.
Before Scott joins us for the award presentation, we have a special message for him and PNC.
Say thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Woohoo!
Thank you, PNC.
Congratulations, Scott and PNC. Congratulations, Scott and PNC.
Thank you, Scott. PNC. Gracias.
We are honored to ask Scott to join us. Scott, on behalf of Metropolitan Family Services, our volunteers, our staff, our board of directors, and most importantly, the people that we serve, Ashley and I could not be more pleased than to present Metropolitan's Legacy Award to PNC and to you. Thank you for graciously accepting on behalf of PNC.
And Scott, I just want to say it has been wonderful to get to know you over the years. You are such a caring individual, and your support and PNC support to MFS has been just wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you, Rick. It truly is an honor to be accepting this award on behalf of PNC and to be with the two of you, and to thank you, actually, for your continuing leadership of such an important organization for our city, for our communities, so I greatly appreciate it. I'm very pleased to be here tonight accepting this year's Legacy Award. As Rick mentioned, it's been a privilege to be involved with Metropolitan Family Services for over 15 years. I'm always impressed by the extraordinary work Rick and his team do for families and communities throughout the Chicago region. At PNC, we're proud of our longstanding partnership with Metropolitan, having first connected through a shared commitment to early childhood education. At PNC, we focus our early childhood efforts through an initiative called Grow Up Great that invests in quality programs just like those delivered at Metropolitan Family Services. These programs provide a nurturing classroom environment and tools and resources children and parents need to help build a strong foundation for school and life. Another important priority for PNC is to find opportunities for our employees to volunteer in the communities where we live and work. We've had that opportunity to work in the field with Metropolitan to deliver learning experiences for hundreds of MFS preschoolers. And we also give back through collection drives, and we were proud to work with MFS to provide essential infant supplies to families in need. But it goes beyond early childhood programs. Our employees also help deliver financial literacy training through Metropolitan's Job Readiness Training Program that focuses on workforce development. As Rick mentioned, one of my early experiences with Metropolitan was the Gerst Family Young Fathers Program that helps young fathers get the support and guidance they need to be better prepared for the responsibilities of fatherhood. This program demonstrated to me what this organization was all about and the impact it was making. And there are dozens of other initiatives that Metropolitan leads, which provide so much to our communities throughout the region. You know, in the backdrop of these extraordinary programs, Metropolitan is again taking a leadership role in perhaps our city's most daunting challenge, violence, and specifically gun violence. I want to commend the MFS team and their leadership surrounding the Communities Partnering for Peace initiative and all of the work being done to create impact for those neighborhoods most affected by gun violence. There's still a lot of work to be done, but I know they are saving lives every day through their efforts, and we all owe you our gratitude. To the teachers, the counselors, and the support staff at Metropolitan Family Services, we are proud to stand beside you, work with you, and support you. On behalf of PNC, I am humbled by this honor, but the focus of our attention should be on all of you doing all of the great work at Metropolitan Family Services. It is why we're all here. and why our support for this organization is, without a doubt, an investment in the lives and future of our city and our region. Thank you.
As we move to the present, we at Metropolitan are honored that there are countless stories of challenge, perseverance, and success that we have the privilege to help facilitate, to help people draw on strengths within to overcome and succeed. Among those is Claudia Freed, CEO of EAL Green, an organization based in DuPage County. There was a time when Claudia, an immigrant from Argentina, found herself alone after a divorce. She was at a crossroads with no family here to help and wondering how she would financially provide for her twin girls and herself. She was also dealing with mental and emotional attacks from her ex-spouse. Claudia found help at Metropolitan Family Services and created a plan that set the course for success for herself and her children.
Hi, I am Claudia Freed, and today I am the CEO of EAL Green. We are a nonprofit organization that helps people, young students, secure a place in life by giving them scholarships. It is a successful business, and it is a business that has changed 20,000 lives, including my own. However, in 1997, I was a young mother in the middle of a crisis. I was facing a divorce. A divorce is not something that we plan, but there is no crisis that we plan ever. However, when I found myself in that difficult moment in my life, I was very young. I had two beautiful young daughters, and I needed a guide. I needed a place to find out how I was going to move beyond that moment in crisis. I found Metropolitan Family Services because I was doing research. How does someone without a family go through a crisis like a divorce? Who is out there to help me? I learned that Metropolitan Family Services had an office here in Wheaton, which is where I am in DuPage. And without knowing what I was going to expect, I was able to get help from Metropolitan Family Services. When I was able to sit and see the numbers and see that there was a way out, because Metropolitan Family Services paired me with an MBA student that was able to give me the type of support that I needed at that moment, I felt that Metropolitan Family Services cared for me as a person at that moment in life. There are no ways, no words, no feelings that I can share with you bigger than a gratitude for having been a client, for having learned that things happen to good people. And when those things happen, you have help. Metropolitan Family Services didn't know who I was, but I knew that they had a roadmap to help me overcome a difficult chapter in my life. Because of that help, which only lasted a few weeks' time, I was able to stay in the house where I lived. My daughters were able to finish in the school that they started. I was able to see that there was a path forward provided that I continue to be employed. I got my health insurance in place. My little girls grew up to be successful women today. One is a landscape architect, and the other one is an artist. One lives in Switzerland, the other one lives in New York. And I am still here, beaming with joy, because Metropolitan Family Services was able to give me that guide, that support. Without that help, who knows where my life would have ended up. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share with you that if you have somebody in your life that is struggling, if you yourself are in a position to question your life in terms of whether or not I can make a choice to go here or there with regards to a job, whether you're in a crisis, or more importantly, if you sit in a position where today you can support family services, this is a service that is absolutely needed in the community. It changes people's lives. It changes the entire trajectory of somebody's future. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about how one life was changed and how many lives have been changed in return. Thank you so much.
Illinois State Representative Jaime Andrade is another present-day success story made possible by getting Metropolitan's help at a critical time. During his youth, his mother experienced mental health challenges that were breaking apart their family. But she got help from Metropolitan that changed her life and that of her family. Here's their story.
My mom's friend one day just approached her after drop off at school and said, "How are you doing?" And my mom said, "Fine." And her friend said, "That's not the face I see." Because everyone says, like my mom said, she was fine, but she wasn't, and her friends, luckily her friends saw it and she was able to get help. So she said, she gave her a card of Metropolitan Family Services. She goes, "Look, just give them a call. Just give it a try." My mom went to Metropolitan Family Services and she met Senora Mayorga. And Senora Mayorga we started her first counseling and then family counseling. They did much more than just counseling. I mean, it was much, much more. All the summer camps that I went to was actually Metropolitan Family Services. It was a conflict. So I asked her today, how it affected her and how it helped her who she is. She said that Metropolitan Family Services taught her how to respect herself, how to say no, when she needed to say no, and to find self-respect and self-dignity, and it really helped out her self-esteem, helped out relationship with, my dad, and Metropolitan Family Services also taught her how to be a parent. So what happened next is there was a gentleman that came and set up a support group with friends and other members from Metropolitan Family Services that till this day, we're talking 40 years later, that they still meet. And I truly believe that without that support, I could have been like other friends, unfortunately 6 feet under. I have a lot of friends that didn't make it, didn't have the support that I did. Didn't have the support that my mom had, that she told them, "Listen, my son's going, this is happening." And Metropolitan Family Services guided her on how to resolve our situation and to guide me. I think Metropolitan Family Services will make us the family we are today. I'm very fortunate to still have my mom, my dad, and my sisters around, and my family. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for steering me the right way in the summer of 8th grade, freshman year of high school. Without the support group, like I said, I would probably not be where I am here. I might not even be alive. So I truly believe that the counseling I received, that my family received, made me the assistant House Majority Leader I am today. I highly recommend Metropolitan Family Services because they truly know the definition of family.
After hearing the personal stories of Representative Andrade and Claudia Freed, it's time for us to look to the future. How is Metropolitan positioned to impact people and communities 10, 20, 30, 50, and even 100 years from now? We have an example to share. The new We Grow Chicago Collaborative, just launched October 1st. We Grow features 4 dynamic grassroots organizations in Chicago's West Englewood community who are teaming up with Metropolitan to help transform the community by creating sustainable food economies and green businesses, revitalizing vacant spaces through urban gardening and farming, bringing fresh produce and farm-to-table experiences to local families, furthering housing development and redevelopment, and by offering a variety of wraparound social services. We're honored to have ABC7 Chicago's lead news anchor, Alan Kraszewski, moderate our special panel discussion featuring leaders of the We Grow Collaborative. Now, let's join the discussion.
Well, good evening. I'm Alan Kraszewski from ABC7 Chicago, and I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us here for this very special discussion at Metropolitan Family Services' 40th Annual Empower the Night program. And I am pleased this evening to greet all of our panelists, each of whom is bringing truly dynamic leadership to their community and also to our city as a whole. And they are really poised here to take things even further through their new collaboration. There's a new collaboration you're hearing about, Through We Grow, and they're working together to positively shape the future for families and communities as well. And they're doing this through models that can inspire change throughout our entire Chicago area. So what they're doing could apply perhaps in your community as well. I want to start tonight, first of all, with Michelle Rashad. Michelle is with Imagine Englewood IF. So Michelle, fill us in here a little bit. Your organization, and for that matter, those of your fellow leaders who are with us tonight as well, I know you've really been using some creative and energizing ways, in particular to activate vacant lots that may exist in the community, and all of this to provide healthy living for the residents there. So tell me why transforming those spaces is truly so important.
Thank you. So, Alan, transforming those spaces are important because vacant lots are really spaces of neglect to some extent, but they are also spaces of opportunity. I am born, raised, and rooted in the West Englewood neighborhood. I grew up on 68th and Wood, which is right off 69th Street, and often would walk between 69th and Ashland, 69th and Damon to go to school, whether it's elementary or high school, go to the corner store my parents and my siblings or I to grab some eggs, milk, bread. And on this 69th Street corridor between Ashland and Damon, there are 47 vacant lots. 47 vacant lots, mostly city owned. And so thinking of that and seeing that growing up, I often was really trapped in this imagination, which is what Imagine Englewood IF is really focused on. How can we imagine the spaces and the programming and the services that we need to improve the quality of life in our neighborhood? And one initiative that Imagine Englewood IF took was with the Health and Wellness Task Force, which is convened by Teamwork Englewood, where we launched something called Run the Block Wednesdays, where we had chefs pop up to do healthy cooking demos on the vacant lot. We will have growing homes out there selling their organic produce on the vacant lots, fitness instructors doing exercises to really show that these vacant lots can become these opportunities for healthy living and for wellness. And that event is one example of one way we're able to transform a vacant lot. But looking at what We Grow is doing with the Peace Campus, which currently is on 64th and Honorary and consists of 16 properties that have been transformed into programming spaces, community garden, nature play lots, basketball courts. We are now in a position to provide consistent care from committed leaders who understand what the community needs to thrive in these vacant spaces.
Wow. Okay. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little bit more later on. So that's so wonderful. That's a great start. I want to go next to Anton Seals. Anton, with Grow Greater Englewood, I know you participated in this year's Chicago Architectural Biennial. You're working there on the Englewood Village Plaza. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with this, it's a community space that will include a community farm, marketplaces, farmers markets. And Anton, I know you've said that you'd like to see this plaza eventually become kind of a gateway really to a 2-mile nature trail, and one that you believe would be really an important step to turning the tide of Englewood without displacing the residents in order to do it. So give us a little bit of a snapshot here of what turning that tide would look like in your mind.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So I think it's important for us. We think of turning the tide because this nature trail and the work that we're doing to transform spaces is important, but we also have to be very mindful and intentional around, for us, it's like leading around what does it mean to have and create and cultivate Black spaces? And what does that really mean when you bring improvements into communities, and how do you do that in a way that does not displace or harm them because of the market of impacts that it can have when you add, things that improve the quality of life in a community? One of the things that people have been really struggling with is, through tax scavenger sales, foreclosure, it has been hit by every kind of social kind of detriment that we can name. And it also gives birth to then the response. And so part of that turning the tide is what you see here tonight. Our groups, people coming together that have been really intentional about thinking around ways not only for ourselves and our organization, but how do we further, go even deeper with other organizations that are emerging young people to create space?
All right, Anton, thank you. We'll come back again. I know I've got some more that I want to talk to you about as well, but I want to bring in Janelle here. Janelle St. John is with Growing Home. Growing Home is a social enterprise. It's also the first and only a high production USDA certified organic farm in all of Chicago. And as I understand it, Janelle, you grow, you harvest, you clean, you sell 200 varieties of vegetables within a 20-mile radius, which is incredible. It's an incredible accomplishment, quite frankly. So what has that meant for the health of West Englewood families? What would you say?
That's been amazing. One of the things West Englewood is known for, people call us a food desert. I don't call us a desert because to me, a desert implies nothing grows. What it's meant is food insecurity, access to affordable, healthy option. And that's what Growing Home is. We allow people right in their backyard to walk across the street if needs be and get access to affordable, healthy option. Our community is often priced out of organic, priced out of produce. If you have $10 and you got to decide how to feed your family, you want that thing that will stretch and last the longest. Unfortunately, produce isn't that. Unless you're organic and right in the backyard, of course, it lasts longer. But in reality, people have hard choices to make. And if Growing Home could make healthy options an easy choice, that's why we're here. So what we sell outside the community for $1, we sell for 50 cents in Englewood. If you have Link, it's an additional 50 cents off. And I jokingly say, if you have a senior citizen coupon, come on Thursday and you could clean us out. The idea is to make it affordable and also make it fun. So, for example, there's a lot of investment in healthy foods, but nobody thinks about taste. For us, it's about culturally relevant food that tastes the way grandma did it, but healthier. So we have our community engagement team that works to make sure that the food tastes good. It's not enough to just make it healthy. So we entice you in more than one way. We make the produce look good. Okay, when you come, you're like, oh man, I've never seen it this size before. And no chemicals. And we make sure it tastes good, okay? And you're gonna come, you're gonna get a recipe card, you can get a video, and also you can taste and touch.
I'll tell you what, just listening from those of you already, it's so exciting. You have an excitement within your missions, obviously, individually, but to hear you all together, it really is wonderful. And speaking of together here, I'm turning now to Cecile DeMello. Cecile, you're with Teamwork Englewood. Of course, it's a very appropriate name for the organization. And I know you're really focused on building that community capacity. And this involves, of course, something we're touching on right now, which is by collaborating with all the potential stakeholders that are out here to make this successful. So what makes this collaboration, what makes We Grow distinct from perhaps the many other collaborations that are part of your organization's approach or to community renewal, or maybe even other things that you've been involved with in the past? Tell us about that.
Sure. Well, there are a lot of different collaborations that are happening in Englewood, right? There's things around health and wellness and food security, all the way from housing to workforce development, small business development. So I do want to say I love all the collaborations that Teamwork Englewood is a part of. But when I think about this question, as far as the We Grow campus, one of the things that I'm really excited about is a lot of Teamwork's work in our own services that we provide for the community. We think more about the family as a whole, right? And sometimes one organization can't take care of the needs of a family on its own, right? They may have needs, everything from quality after school programming for their students to workforce development support for the adults in the household, as well as maybe legal services for the family as well. And it can be difficult sometimes to get all of that in one organization. Even our organization that provides a lot of those services, we sometimes need help and have to talk to other partners to bring them to the table to be able to really help a family holistically. I think another part that makes me excited about this collaboration, thinking about that family piece, because I too lived 2 blocks away on Wood Street next to Shelley on 66 in Wood. And being able to have something like this for my own children really makes this even a spiritual journey for a lot of us to look at how can we make families stay anchored and healthy and strong in the West Englewood community and the greater Englewood community overall.
Tell me how important it is for you to make sure that people who are residents of Englewood or West Englewood are not simply taking off and leaving and go somewhere else because whatever, they're concerned about whatever's going on in the community, but they are staying and they are investing in, like you said, you have hopefully a multi-generational approach to the success of what you're doing.
Well, I think one thing that's been important for our family to stay anchored in this community was also being involved and not just being someone who took on the services, but the opportunities that our organizations bring, like Grow Greater Englewood, Imagine Englewood If, Teamwork Englewood, Growing Home. You can be leaders in these spaces. You can be a part of the conversation of what the future of Englewood looks like. You feel like an investor. You're investing into this future in a way, instead of just being able to have the services. Sometimes you can find ways to be on a television station and talk about the work that you're doing and talk about what your community needs and advocate on that behalf. That's what I think is part of the work that we're doing together with the We Grow campus that anchors family here, that you're a part of the future and the decisions that will impact your family for future generations.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to bring Rick in. Rick, because here's as we're talking about all this, and we've heard the word holistic used here a couple times already this evening, but Metropolitan, I know, focuses on bringing that holistic approach to the services that it brings to people and through communities that it serves throughout metropolitan Chicago. So whether that's in Cook County and DuPage counties as well. So each of these We Grow partners, we can already tell, has this holistic focus as well. But especially when you have communities such as Englewood and West Englewood that have had this systemic disinvestment over time, how do the wraparound services reach across these systems to really provide the broader support that might be necessary?
Yeah, Alan, first of all, thank you again for that question. And I want to say thank you to all of our partners here. I learn so much from them every single time that I'm with them, whether it's in the same digital space or together. So I just want to say thank you to all of them first. As you know, Metropolitan has been serving this community, this region really, for 164 years. And it's been our intent to try to link up all these systems that have in early years actively disinvested in these communities. So we do a couple of things. We try to hold those systems accountable for that disinvestment, and then now turn it around and make investments in these communities. And so in many ways, we're dealing with the issues of the past today. And it's our partners like the ones that are before us that are really doing the hard work. For us, if you look at our mission, it's to provide or mobilize services to strengthen families and communities. We've been trying this for 164 years. By many measures, you could say that we've been relatively successful. But guess what? We know that we can't do that alone, and no one organization could do it alone. It's when we come together in these complicated partnerships that we have a shot, and we really have a shot here at helping Englewood find their own answers, because at the end of the day, we are going to the community and asking them what they need. We didn't come up with all these ideas ourselves, as Anton and Shelley and Cecile and Janelle have said to me and have said to you just a little while ago. The quality of life plans, the ones that were created a decade ago, the ones that are being developed now, they are informed by the community voice. And they're dealing with those systems that need to be integrated. And it's our job to make sure that we respond to them and that we make these things be responsible and accountable to the members of communities. So we're proud to hold those systems accountable and offer the services that we do.
So, Rick, is that somewhat key to keeping, and I'll put it this way, to keeping everyone on the same page? I mean, let's face it here, there may be individuals who have goodness in their hearts and want to make a difference in a very good way, in the way that perhaps they believe it should be done. But to take a moment and listen first to what different people in the community are saying themselves are necessary to accomplish, and then try to bring that under one broader umbrella so that people can collaboratively work together and move forward in accomplishing a greater goal?
Alan, I think that's the key, because if we don't do that, we're going to repeat the mistakes of the past. And we have to listen to what the community is asking for. We don't know more than they do. And so if we're good stewards of these resources that have been given to us, we will listen to them and then offer them what they need to be empowered.
All right. First of all, I just want to say thanks to all of you just briefly. But you're not off the hook yet in terms of answering questions, because I have three questions, three individuals from our audience who have some questions for you. And these are not to somebody specifically, so maybe you want to share these a little bit or maybe add your own particular viewpoint on them. But my first question comes from Piyush Shadari. And Piyush says, well, collaborations sound great, but realizing success can be challenging. How do Metropolitan and WeGrow anticipate making its collaboration successful, and how can it help to curb violence? That's the question. Jump in.
Tough question. I think, again, we respect each other deeply, and we know that only together can we make this work happen. In regards to the violence question, when we think about violence in communities in Chicago, the general public thinks, oh yeah, we need more police, or we need more violence interrupters, or you've heard the cliche, nothing stops a bullet like a job. Well, we know that maybe those three elements are part of the solution, but the holistic services that we all provide in collaboration with maybe those other three things, we think is what's going to make a difference, and doing the work genuinely and on behalf of people and led by the people that are receiving these services. I'll leave it to my colleagues to answer the rest.
I think this is where the tide has changed in our culture, in American culture, that we won't be spectators in our own revitalization, and that the resources need to be matched with the people who are driving the change on the ground, that not another intermediary is needed. What we need is the kind of partners like MFS who have stood up, who understand that dynamic has shifted in order for real collaborations to work. Us having a legacy for our communities to continue to thrive and not only just survive, but to thrive. That is just the bottom line, is that we need to see all of Chicago. And that would be the tide that changes Chicago. That's the real impact. When you see Black families wanting to stay and moving back to Chicago, then you've gotten something that we haven't had in the last 40 years in the city.
All right, I do want to move on to our next question. We have two more questions here from people in the audience. So this one's from Sophia Ruffalo. And Sophia says, each of these WeGrow organizations has multiple strengths that they're bringing to the table, all of them focused on helping to build the strength of West Englewood and its residents. So what experiences and lessons do each of you anticipate bringing from your unique organizations to the WeGrow Collaborative to help drive its success? And Janelle, I want to start with you.
It's so funny that question came up, because that was going to be my response to the last question. We're not coming to this collaboration without experience. As individuals, I've had more than 20 years in nonprofit management. We are coming with expertise. Sometimes people feel expertise has to look a certain way or be a certain color. We're coming with years of doing this. We're also coming from our own personal experience. So we are more than well equipped to do the business of Englewood.
Michelle, what would you say?
This is tough work. It's not easy. Collaboration is not easy. But the folks that I have the ability to work with when we grow, oh my God, I'm so grateful, because we are what we need. And no one is more qualified to do this work than us. And when I think of Imagine Englewood in the youth, I cannot say this enough, that everything that we do has to involve our young people and creating pathways and opportunities and experience for our young people. And that's the space that Imagine Englewood is in. So that's what we bring unique. We'll always bring youth to the table. And then for myself, as someone who's born and raised and still is the block club president for the great 68th on 68th and Wood, awesome. I understand the need for grassroots organizing, that knocking on the door, connecting with our young people, connecting with our veterans, connecting with our seniors, building those genuine relationships to develop that trust to really understand what our young people and our families need. And so those are those unique skills that I'm so excited to bring to the We Grow Collaborative.
Cecile, what would you add to that?
Well, Shelly knows I'll keep a flyer on me to door knock anytime. I love organizing. I love talking with residents. I knock on doors sometimes even by myself, which I don't think my family appreciates. But anyways, one of the things that's really cool about Teamwork's role too is we're the convener of the Quality of Life Plan for Inglewood. So we have dozens of other partners that our work can tap into, everything from health to commercial and business development. We have tentacles in that work through the larger quality of life vision. Another piece that Teamwork brings to the table, which all of our groups do, is we hire mostly from the community. So the folks who are running the programs that we'll be having at We Grow Campus are residents themselves that may have overcome some of these barriers, and that's why they're committed to the work, or have received these services and they just decided that they wanted to be a leader in that work as well. So I love that part, that it won't just be us executive directors. We're bringing other residents and people who love this work to the table as well, increasing our impact.
All right, guys. Well, our final question tonight comes from Eric Bearfield. And Eric asked this, and Rick, I want to have you answer this first. And if others want to add in, feel free to do so. But his question is this: how's the private sector working to help promote sustainable food economies and the development of these green jobs, the business and entrepreneurship in Chicago? And then the second part of the question is, for companies that want to be part of the solution, how can they get involved? What would you say, Rick?
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave the first part of the response to the experts on this panel, because they're, my partners are really expert at that. So I'll leave that one for everybody else on the panel. And the second one is, hey, listen, they could do a whole lot. I mean, one, understand the work that we do today, understand the work that we've done in the past, and partner with us, more importantly, on the work that's coming in the future. And every single company across the Chicagoland area, because we don't limit this to just Chicago, the Chicagoland area could invest in the kind of work that we're doing. If you're interested in, food and environment, we have that for you. If you're interested in workforce development, we all work on that. If you're interested in violence reduction, we all work on that. If you're interested in mental health, again, we have plenty of opportunities. We know many of them. We know the leaders of these companies. We know who they are now. We need to get them to lean in even further, because many of them have already. We just need you to lean even more. We need you now more than ever.
All right. So let me go back to the first part of the question then, to the experts on the panel here. Okay. So how is the private sector helping to work and promote all of the sustainable food economies, the development of good jobs? And maybe I'll add something to that. Has there been anything that is hindering their involvement that you're working on removing so that they might become more willing to be involved?
Well, if I wanted to share really quickly, all of our groups, especially the Inglewood-based groups, we have been pushing back and pushing and collaborating with private sector as well, because we don't want it to just be a one-off experience in the work that they do in Inglewood, but we've been able to intentionally be thought partners with them. How has your own private policies and practices maybe have led to the kind of culture that we have of disinvestment in communities like Inglewood? What does it look for you to help restore a community like Inglewood? So we've done things as far as, push back on their hiring policies and practices so that we can have some of our participants in our workforce development actually work at these jobs and make a good, strong living wage. To having folks be investors in some of the food economy that we have in this community as well. And I don't know if Shelly wants to share, but PepsiCo recently did a great partnership with Imagine Inglewood that was in months of cultivation of sharing what could Pepsi, with its different tentacles of the work that it does, actually benefit Inglewood with more than just a check, but actual partnership.
I want to add, one of the key things to growing home is our employer partners. We have to be willing to get, part of our success is our job placement. We place almost 80% of our graduates. Why? Because we have amazing employer partners who believe in second chance, third chance, fourth and fifth chance, okay? They understand that our population needs more than 12-week job training. So if somebody shows up late, they don't just get fired. We get a call. If somebody has a barrier, he needs uniforms, we get a call. We have people who have created their own internal program that's a direct pipeline from growing home to one of their programs. We need more people to do this. If you really want to give people chances, you got to give them opportunity beyond a 4-year college where they have to spend $100,000. You really got to give them the opportunity to grow their income. So yes, they may come in at the entry level, but give them that built-in mechanism to become a manager one day. And so that's what some of our employer partners are doing right now. And I urge every organization to have such a program within their company.
I would just, also just add just 2 cents around that the private sector has a unique opportunity to be purpose-driven, to rethink about some of their corporate responsibility strategies. So I think as some of the new businesses that are looking to locate in Chicago, how do they really partner and come into communities with the intentionality of not displacing communities, of just leaving it up to the quote unquote, the market to figure it out? There's more that's required from all of us as citizens to think through the harm and harm reduction kind of ways that we need to be moving in communities that have been harmed. And you do that by first acknowledging that. So that's the kind of, I think those are the kind of private partners that are needed. That's the call from these private partners. So it's just not your checkbook. It's not just you showing up. It's also you listening and hearing from communities on the ground and knowing what you don't know and being able to follow as well.
Ellen, I would say that, and it's in their best interest. It's in our own mutual best interest that they continue to partner with community and are responsive to community.
Michelle, I'll just give you any last thought.
So keywords for me is the partnership, right? And not coming in thinking that some of these private sectors have all the answers. And that's exactly what happened with PepsiCo, who is making a $5 million investment in young people on the South and West sides by creating career pathways for them. But they were able to come to the table, and literally it took a year. It took a year of the listening and us saying, like, it's great to have you sponsor events here and there and X, Y, and Z. But what we really need to do is create these opportunities and experiences for young people from as young as 6 all the way up to 24. That doesn't look like just programming. It looks like mentorship, but not just mentorship, reverse mentorship, because young people can teach adults things as well. And not just internships, but paid internships and career opportunities and training programs. And that was well received. And I'm so happy to see, the launch of PepsiCo Prep, Stronger Together initiative. But imagine if other Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies were to take that same initiative, we can really begin to really turn the tide, as Anton said earlier, to create communities where our young people can grow up safe and not in fear and not experiencing daily adverse experiences. It's so important to just create the community that we all want and we all imagine and we will create.
I just got to say, it has been my privilege, honestly, to be with all of you tonight. I am so inspired, and I don't say that in some simple way to say, oh yeah, we're so inspired. No. I really do mean that your leadership in your particular organizations comes shining through like a light tonight. And I want to thank you for being part of that and for shining your light and doing the hard work. And I hope that everyone who's watching this evening senses, not just merely senses it, but actually says, hey, I'd love to get involved. So tell me how, if they're watching or maybe in their own community thinking, hey, I love what they're doing. Maybe there's some way we can do this where we are as well. So let me just personally, Michelle Rashad and Janelle St. John, Cecile DeMello, Anton Seals, of course, Rick Estrada, thank each and every single one of you for giving us your time tonight. It is clear, I think we'd all agree, that We Grow, this collaborative, is in good hands in terms of its leadership. And I honestly can't wait to see what you and your leadership, with the help of others, is going to accomplish in Englewood and West Englewood. So thank you so much for being with us tonight and sharing in this conversation. And also, I want to thank all of you for watching as well this evening. I'm Alan Kraszewski. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wow, Rick, that was really powerful.
Thank you.
It's so amazing to hear how we are truly following our mission of mobilizing and empowering our communities. I'm always amazed to learn about the work that is happening on the ground in our city. These stories and their perspectives shared with you tonight are full of hope, action, and promise. They also emphasize Metropolitan Family Services' instrumental role in empowering people, families, and communities throughout our great city and suburbs. If you haven't already, I ask you to take time now to support Metropolitan Family Services, to support the work of its collaborations throughout metropolitan Chicago, Cook, and DuPage counties. This is the work that makes life changes possible, like those we heard earlier from Claudia Freed and State Representative Jamie Andrade. Rick and I truly hope you will support Metropolitan tonight so the Metropolitan team can keep empowering families today and well into the future. Please join me in donating. Directions are on the screen. And to all of those who are already doing so, thank you so much for your support.
We appreciate your joining us for the 40th Annual Mpower the Night. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you for joining us for the Metropolitan Family Services 40th Annual Mpower the Night celebration. Every contribution makes a difference. We greatly appreciate your support.